Hi, my name's Chris Ballinger, and I have a love for learning new things. About 10 years ago, I worked at a company called Magic Geek. Yes, that's the real name of the company that I worked at. And one of my coworkers there, his name is Aiden, he started building kit guitars. That's a picture of my buddy Aiden. He's behind the drums. My sister Rachel's also in that picture. And me, and I'm holding one of the guitars that he made. And occasionally he'd have me help out with some of the design elements, some of the painting, and I really enjoyed it and always wanted to get back into it, but never found the time to do it. Well, guess what? I am making the time, and I'm making this channel just so I can make guitars, and I want to build up my skills and get to the point where I could build a guitar just from parts. No kits or anything like that, just build a guitar. And I've always thought the musical instruments make very cool gifts. Each guitar project will be inspired by the person that I'm building the guitar for, so they will be a unique, built for that person musical instrument. I'm super excited about this, and in this video I will be unboxing everything that I got to start this project. So here it is. This, I think, in this box is the guitar kit that I will be building as my first guitar build. I wanted to start off simple, and so I've decided on a very basic guitar shape. A box within a box. Okay, this is from a company called the Fretwire. This is the neck. Ooh. I'm like shaking, I'm so excited right now. Okay, so this is a maple fretboard, maple neck, from what I can tell. And actually, I was worried I was gonna have to do a whole lot of work on the frets. I am gonna kind of round them off a little bit, but they don't feel too sharp. Usually with a cheap guitar, this part feels really sharp. This part of the guitar here, they left space so that I could carve whatever I wanted into there. All right, here's the body of the guitar. Feels nice. It looks like it was made out of 4 pieces of wood. I like the grain on it. I'm gonna be covering that up. I have a plan for this guitar, and it involves just a full paint job so that you won't see any of the grain through it. But it feels good. This part here is called the scratch plate. It's gonna go right here. This bag here is full of the electronics and tuners and things like that. Okay, so these are the 2 pickups. So this will end up sitting right in here. Comes with 2 Allen wrenches. One of these I know is for adjusting the height on the saddle, which is this piece here. And I'll explain that in a future part of the video. And then there should be a truss rod running through here, and I can make adjustments right in there. I didn't know that these tools were gonna be included. That's actually really cool, and I'm excited about that. Here's the cable. It's a pretty standard thin cable. I'll show you the cable I'm used to using. I usually use this cable. You can see the difference in diameter there. It's a pretty big difference. I think this is like a super cheap little cable, but I mean, it's a beginner's kit. It's gonna serve its purpose, and if I want to, I can always just use one of the other cables, so that's cool. This bag is full of all sorts of little things. We've got some springs here. These are for the back of the tuners. I assume these put in the scratch plates. These are called string trees. They're gonna keep the strings down. These will hold the straps onto the guitar, so this is just basic hardware stuff here. This part of the guitar is what the cable will go into. So the cable goes in here, and it's gonna snap into place like that and create a connection, and it will sit into this part of the guitar right here. These are the tuners. Pretty standard device. You turn this and it turns this up here. These are all gonna go into this part of the guitar. This will hold the neck up against the guitar like this. Okay, so these are the guitar strings. I don't know anything about these. They're not branded at all. I'll probably replace these once the guitar is fully built, but these will definitely serve to align the neck and to get all the electronic components working, and then I'll replace these before I give the guitar to the person I'm gifting it to. So this type of guitar has 2 different pickups. Pickup is a magnetic component that goes here and here, and the strings go across it. It picks up the vibrations. It's basically a microphone for the strings. What this does is it's gonna control the volume of each of those pickups and possibly the tone. I'm not totally sure how this is wired. I'm gonna have to play around with it. And then this switch is gonna allow me to go from this pickup to this pickup or to use them both at the same time. And that's going to give you different tones of the guitar. If you've built one of these in the past and you have tips, things that slowed you down, things that you found made the experience better, please leave them in the comment section below. Okay, I'm going to try and use acrylic paint and then cover that acrylic paint with some sort of coating that will make the guitar hard enough to be a guitar. It could be a disaster, but that's part of the fun, so we'll see what happens. That's what's in here. Bunch of stuff in this box. These are gonna help me see the radius of the fretboard on the guitar. This part of the guitar is the fretboard, and the fretboard sometimes has a curve to it. Sometimes it's really flat, sometimes it's very curved. I'll show you on some of my other guitars. This guitar has a very flat fretboard. When you look at it straight down, that there is not much of a curve here on the fretboard. This guitar, however, has a nice curve going across this part of the fretboard. These allow you to see, by putting it on here, what the curve of the fretboard is. This little number here tells you what the radius is. So if this was a circle that continued all the way around, it would have a radius of 14. That's also gonna help me when I put the strings on the guitar, because you want the strings to be at the same curvature as the fretboard. This is a fret rocker. This is wet dry sandpaper of varying grits. This is soldering wire. Oh cool, this is also for soldering. This is cool. Okay. So it has these 4 arms, and you can position things the way you want them positioned, and then you do your soldering. Let's see what's in this one. This is like Christmas. Okay. This is the soldering iron that I chose. This is a beat up box. Okay. I am not impressed with how this was packaged. This is an airbrush. I don't even know where to begin with how unimpressed I am with the packaging on this. It was just sort of loose in this box. The airbrush itself had a high rating. It looks like this is a used airbrush. There is paint inside the nozzle of the airbrush. Yeah, this is definitely used. Look, there's a used and returned airbrush. I hope that this thing works and I didn't get a returned defective one from the one person who left a bad rating on Amazon, but there is always that possibility. Okay, maybe the next box will cheer me up. I decided to go with this box next because it has Stu Mac on the label. That is a guitar company that is very renowned. They actually have a YouTube channel and I watch it, so, and it's fantastic. But I did order this through Amazon, and okay, yes, this is making me happy. This is a fretboard file, and these are guards for the fretboard. These are these little like cushiony pieces of kind of like sandpaper, and basically they will also help me make sure that the fretboard is exactly how it needs to be before I give it to the person. I think I know what's in this one. This is guitar lacquer. This is one of my favorite colors of guitar, is this sort of Sonic or Daphne blue. I threw this in there for future guitars. This is not the color of the guitar that I'm going to build next, but it is for future projects. And then this is a clear gloss lacquer, which I'm hoping to put over the guitar that I'm building this time, hopefully to seal everything up and make it work. Because I'm trying some experimental painting on this, so this is also to prime a guitar. If my original concept doesn't work, then I'll probably use this and then some other lacquer to paint the guitar. I don't know. This could be a huge mess. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm excited to try. This is the last thing, and I hope it's an air compressor. Otherwise, that airbrush is definitely not gonna work. It is! So this is an airbrush compressor. You need compressed air in order to shoot the paint out of the airbrush. Alright, that was my Amazon haul for all the guitar supplies. My plan for this channel is to build guitars for people that I know, people that I love, people that I admire, and give them to them as gifts. and this is really gonna give me a jump start on making that dream come true. So I have a design that I'm really excited about. I think it's gonna look really cool on here. I have a few different painting techniques that I'm gonna try out. This is all experimental. I've never done this before. Since this is the first guitar, there is a chance that I might mess everything up. Hopefully not, but I have some plans, I have some ideas, and hopefully it all works out and Colleen gets a really cool guitar out of it. Today we will be painting this, and the first step to that is sanding it down and priming it. Okay, one of the first things I noticed with this guitar body is that the components fit very snugly inside, so I don't want to get any paint inside of things that stuff's gonna go inside. Basically all the cavities, I want to make sure that I mask those off so that paint doesn't get inside and make it too tight for the things to fit in there that need to fit in. Okay, masked everything off, and I put the zip ties on it so I can hang it. And now I'm going to spray it with gesso spray. So this next part is actually the thing that I'm the most nervous about with the whole project. I'm going to be using an acrylic-based paint to paint the decoration on the guitar, and then I'm gonna be covering it with something to protect it, and hopefully that will be enough to make an actual guitar that works. I know this isn't the typical way that this is done, but it's worth an experiment. I wanna see if it can be done and if it's something that I'm gonna use in the future for future guitars, so this is the big test. And we're gonna do this spraying out in my very well-ventilated spray booth, also known as my basketball court. So this is where I'm gonna hang this. It's a good spot to spray because it's well ventilated, obviously, and it should dry a little faster. So let's get started. It is nighttime now, and this is dry. And it seems like I'm probably gonna need to do a few more coats of this and sand in between each coat because it's way rougher than I thought it was gonna be. You can kind of see just how rough the surface of this is. Wow, even just doing that little light pass really made a huge difference. It feels nice and smooth. All right, it is actually the next day right now, and I put another coat of the gesso on this. So now it is nice and smooth. I've also sanded it down a few times so it's really smooth. I'm going for sort of a base pie crust color. So the consistency we're looking for here is whole milk. So right now it's pretty thick. I might water it down a little bit before I put it into the airbrush, but I think that this is the color that I want. I haven't used an airbrush all that much, but I did used to work in an art store and I was in charge of fixing airbrushes. So I know all the mechanics of it. I've never actually used one for an art project. And when I ordered this one, it showed up and it was obviously used. And I know that a lot of people that have airbrushes don't know how to take care of them because I was always the one fixing them. And so I'm worried that whoever had this before didn't know what they were doing, broke the airbrush, and then said, hey, this doesn't work, sent it back to the store, and then they sent it to me. So if that's the case, tonight's gonna be kind of a bust for me. And I'll be very sad. But hopefully that's not what happens. Okay, what I'm discovering here is that it doesn't spray out a lot of material. This is gonna take a very long time, and it's gonna be very hard to get to go on even. This is a learning process, so I'm gonna keep at it and see if I can get this to work. But I've already had some splatter here, and this is all I've gotten out of the airbrush so far, so I don't know. So this is definitely the the wrong tool for this job. What I need is an airbrush that has like a fan type tip to it so I can really just get a nice base coat on there. This is gonna be great for when I do smaller detail work, but right now that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to cover an entire guitar evenly, and it's challenging. Okay, here it is so far. That's the back, that's the front. I'm letting this coat dry, and then I'm gonna put some more on there. My back hurts. This isn't turning out the way that I was hoping that it would, but I am learning a lot. And that's really what this is all about. This is about me learning new stuff. A couple things that I did learn about this particular thing is, this is what's called a dual action airbrush, which means if you press down, you get air, and if you pull back, you get paint, because basically if you push down, it's allowing air to flow through here, and when you pull back, it's pulling this needle back, and the needle is blocking the nozzle so paint can't get through it. So when that gets pulled back, it releases the paint. One little trick here, my fingers were getting so tired from doing both of those actions, I just loosened this up and pulled the needle back, so now all I have to do is press down and I get paint. Another thing that I learned is the value of patience. Anytime that I held onto a spot for too long or tried to really get some paint into a spot that I thought needed extra paint, I ended up with like a bulge of paint. Paint that is too thick in one spot and starts to drip. You can kind of see it right there. There's like a drip forming. You don't want that. You want, I wanted it to be a nice even coat of paint. Hopefully I can use some painting techniques to hide that later on. Just overall, this is a difficult thing to do. It's not, it's not a cakewalk, it's a pie walk. It is the next day and the guitar is looking pretty good. The paint job isn't like super even, but that's okay. These are curtains from different productions of Waitress. I'm kind of modeling this guitar off of this, and as you can see, the crust is really uneven anyway. So this is actually way more even than this. I'm actually really happy with the way this turned out. It's smooth. It feels nice. It's gonna make a nice guitar. So now the next thing is to mask off all of this lattice work so that I can get the red in there without having it bleed over into the other parts of the guitar. I keep underestimating how long it's gonna take me to do certain things. Just cutting these little ridges out took forever, but it's done. The guitar is now masked. I'm ready to start putting in the red, and I'm only gonna put red kind of in the center area. It's gonna sort of fade out into the rest of the guitar. That's my hope, at least, is that I'll be proficient enough with the airbrush at this point to make it so that it's sort of like a sunburst sort of thing. I want it to kind of look like the reverse of this. I want this to be like the strawberry or cherry filling, and then for it to fade back out into the same shade as the crust. Kind of stylizing it a little bit instead of it just being straight like, I painted this like a pie. I'm done putting the base coat of red down. I'm actually really excited about how this looks. I love the fade. The airbrush did an excellent job. I also, in the masked out areas, drew out where this guard is gonna go, the pick guard, because it's gonna cover a lot of this. And that means I have pretty much this whole square and these squares here to experiment when I'm doing kind of this cherry design on the inside, which I'm gonna need because I'm gonna start doing the fine detail work, and I haven't used an airbrush in this way before, so every step of the way is a new little experiment. We'll see what happens. Oh man, the camera's battery died, but I was painting away. Check this out, look how cool this looks. It looks so like photo real. So I need to put some highlights on there and maybe darken a little bit of space in there. And then I'm gonna start doing some dry brushing on the crust, but it looks so cool to me. I don't know if you can see how three-dimensional that looks. Okay, so this is the big time, scary moment. Several different things could go wrong. One, the masking could have not worked and it ends up really hazy. That's okay. If the tape is too strong, it will pull up the paint and possibly the gesso that I put on the guitar to begin with. That's worst case scenario. I guess the third option is that it works great and it looks good. So that's the one I'm hoping for. So let's take a look. I'm gonna peel the tape off now. Big moment. Guys, it looks like a pie. It looks like a pie. Look at this. It looks like a pie. I definitely have a lot of work to do on the crust. There was some paint that got lifted up and that was kind of tough because you would feel a lot of tension and then all of a sudden the tension wasn't there and you knew, like you just knew that it brought some paint with it, but really minor. I was worried I was gonna get a whole strip of tape's worth of paint taken off, and that did not happen. There was a little bit of bleeding. I think I can deal with that as well. One thing that I've discovered over the years that I'm pretty good at is intentionally making things not perfect. One of the great things about a pie is that it's this homemade, burnt in the oven a little bit, the juice oozes out, organic sort of thing. And because of that, I can hide my crimes. People don't know that it's not supposed to look the way that it looks because it looks like a pie. But I do think this turned out pretty awesome. It does look like three-dimensional, and I think once I get the crust on there, it's gonna look even better. One thing you might have noticed as I was pulling that up, not only was I going super slowly, but I was trying to keep all of the masking intact. So I still have it all right here, which I'm gonna use to create the shadows within the pie crust. And that's what I'm gonna do next. This is very confusing. All right, I'm back out here in my very high-tech spray booth, and I just want to sit in this moment for a bit because this is how I want the guitar to look. There's a lot of shadows on it right now, but this is kind of the goal here. And what I'm about to do might ruin it forever. And it's something I'm not gonna know if it works until 2 weeks from now. This is guitar lacquer from Color Tone. I bought this from Stu Mac, and it says it takes 12 to 16 days to set before I can give it a good sanding and buff it out. So I won't know if this works until then. I'll know if it has a horrible chemical reaction pretty soon here, but I won't know if it's gonna work like totally until I do that final step of buffing out the guitar and trying to make it nice and smooth and shiny. Yeah, let's give this a try. It has been 24 hours and this is dried at the touch. It feels nice. It actually feels pretty smooth already. I'm actually really impressed with myself. Today we are moving on from painting and we are starting some of the construction. We're gonna be doing some cuts, we're gonna be doing some design work, we're gonna work on the fretboard and the neck, and I'm very excited about it. I had a really fun time painting the guitar. It is drying now and I'm gonna get started on the neck of the guitar, which is a little more technical and should be a lot of fun. The first thing that I need to do is figure out what design I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna have to carve it out. This part of the guitar is called the headstock, and different guitars have different shapes on them. This particular kit allows a lot of extra space, like from here up and here out. and you can carve that however you want. This is a major design element for most guitars. A lot of them are copywritten and are part of what makes the guitar the type of guitar that it is. This is my Fender Stratocaster. It has a really cool headstock there. Totally different from this one. This is my Ibanez. What I'm gonna do with this is trace it out a few different times so that I can try different design elements. The body of this guitar is a T-shaped guitar or a Telecaster style guitar, and what they traditionally have is this is all the same here, but then it gets round here and then comes in and comes back out. Something like this. I'm not gonna do this, I just wanted to show you kind of what is expected on this style of guitar. I might do something kind of similar, but I'm gonna try a few different options and see what I can come up with. These are the three main designs that I like. This one, they're all kind of based on pie. So like this kind of looks like a slice of pie. And then these two sort of emulate the crust of pie, the outside layer of pie. I'm gonna go through these a little more and see if I can fine tune any of them. I don't know, I am completely stumped. So I think I'm gonna have to do the thing that I do whenever I get stumped and go ask my wife, Jessica. Okay, she was instantly drawn to this one here. So this is the design that I'm gonna clean up, try and get it looking professional, and then transfer it onto here, and then make some cuts. And hopefully I don't ruin the whole neck in the process, because that's a risk. For this whole project, I've had this feeling of like, this is the step, this is the one where if I slip a little bit, I'm gonna mess up the entire project. That anxiety is something that I feel like a lot of people deal with on a daily basis with just any project that they do. Sometimes you just gotta go for it, and that's what I'm doing today. So I'm just gonna go for it, make the cuts, and get this guitar shaped the way I want it. Now I will say that this next part would be a lot easier with a bandsaw, but I have what I have, and I'm gonna use what I have, and so I'm gonna be doing it with little hand tools today. If anyone out there is wondering what I want for Christmas, currently it's a bandsaw. Now I have a lot of sanding to do, and it is just too hot inside to do it, so I'm outside. So that right there is the completed headstock. I gotta say, Jessica made the right call on that headstock design. It is so cool looking, and it's gonna go great with the pie theme of the guitar. Because Colleen doesn't play the guitar, this was probably gonna end up more a showpiece than anything else. But what I'd like is if anybody ever visited her, or her husband Eric, who plays the guitar, picks this guitar up, I want them to be like, wow, this feels great. So I'm gonna do a little bit extra here, and I'm gonna work on the fretboard. Now, to be honest with you, I have no experience doing any of this. I've watched some YouTube videos, and I'll put some links in the description if you're interested in learning more about this. This is a learning guitar, so I'm gonna learn some stuff. First thing I'm gonna do is try and level out the fret, and then I'm gonna try and make it super comfortable by, you can see at the ends of the frets here, they're just sort of cut off. I'd like those to be rounded and polished, and I'd also like the edge of the fretboard to not be so hard aligned. I'd like it if it was actually rounded, so it feels really good in your hand. Another thing about this is I am not going to paint this. I painted the body of this guitar, but I'm not gonna paint the neck because I want it to have a natural feel, but I am gonna oil it so that it feels even better. Anything that feels high, I'm marking with a Sharpie to know that I need to work on that fret. Now you can see the end of those frets are nice and polished, they're rounded off, as well as the edge of the fretboard. It's a little more round, it's a little more ergonomic. Now I'm going to oil the fretboard with teak oil. I saw someone do this online, I thought I'll give it a shot. That's a much less expensive version than lots of other things that I've seen out on the market for guitars, so we'll give it a shot. I'll try it out. All right, this is all done now. Check it out. I actually ended up loving this design. I think it's super cool. A lot of the times when people try and do something that's kind of Telecaster-y, it doesn't really work out and it kind of looks like, oh, that looks wrong, but this looks right. It looks right, and it looks right with the guitar. So with the body, I just feel like the color that it turned out with the oil and the shape of it really goes with the pie theming. And it feels really good. It feels like a well-made guitar. It felt okay before, but now it feels like, yeah, I can play this thing real fast. I probably can't, but someone who could play this thing really fast and get around the neck really easily. I left it natural on the back because you can move your hand around the neck a lot quicker that way. Let me show you with one of my other guitars. Before I start, I should say I love this guitar, but it does have a really, really shiny finish on the back and your hand kind of sticks to it. So it's hard to get from one point to the other without it like squeaking if you're trying to play really fast. But with a natural matte finish like I did on this one, it feels nice, and it just slides no problem. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. I hope that you're enjoying this journey of guitar building with me. This was a lot of fun to do. I did it all with hand tools, no power tools for this job today, which felt very satisfying. Not that I would mind having some power tools that could do this job a lot faster and easier, and with less fatigue on my body. Today we are going to be working on the wiring and the hardware for this awesome guitar that we're building for Colleen. We have our guitar, it's all painted. We have our neck, but it's missing all of the hardware, so we're gonna put that in today. And the lacquer that I put on the body of the guitar can't be sanded or polished quite yet, so I'm gonna put it all together, make sure that everything works, and then I'll probably take it all apart again in a few days when I can sand it and really get it going. It's dry, but I am waiting for it to harden completely. It takes about 10 to 14 days before I can do all the polishing on it. So I'm gonna work with it as it is right now, put it all together, and I'll probably take it all apart again, to be honest, and polish it once we reach that threshold. But for today, let's get started on putting in some hardware. The first thing I'm gonna put on are the tuners. These keep the strings where they belong, and also you turn them to change the tuning of the strings. That's why they're called tuners. I'm not sure if it's the heat or nervousness, but I am sweating like crazy. It's definitely the heat. Right now, I'm about to put the neck on the guitar. I have not seen this guitar complete yet, so this will be the first time that I see the two pieces put together, and hopefully they mesh in a beautiful symphony of wonderfulness, but we'll see. All right, the neck is on. Look at it, it's so pretty. It's such a pretty guitar. It's so nice. Now it's time to work on the electronics, which is gonna be another new thing for me. I'm learning a lot of new stuff building this guitar. I've done some soldering in the past, mainly for armatures, for stop motion animation, never something that actually needs to conduct electricity. So it'll be interesting to see if this works out, but I'm excited to try. I'm excited to learn something new. Hopefully I don't electrocute myself. It's gonna be a good day. I got stuck on the last little bit of soldering because the wires that were connected to the control panel didn't match up with the wires in the description. And that's sort of a common problem with these kits. So I was kind of expecting it and I had to do some guesswork, which means I don't know if this guitar is actually going to play. So I have to test it. The way we test it is we're going to take one string, string it up, plug it in, and try and play it and see if that string makes the right kind of sound. For this experiment, I'm going to be using this little travel amp that Colleen actually got me for Christmas, so it's kind of fitting. Okay, here it goes. Let's turn it on and see what happens. So far, nothing. I wired it right, I think. That sound's coming out of here. Okay, let's try. So that should be this pickup here. So this is what's making the noise, and if I switch this to here, it should be both pickups. And here, it's just this pickup. I'm gonna raise these up a little bit so that they're closer to the string, but I'm trying to decide if I should string the whole thing up, make sure it works, take it apart, put it in storage for 10 days, and then come back and do the finished polish, or if I should take it apart now without trying it out completely. Oh, it's so tempting to do it right now. I think I'm gonna put the whole thing together. I'm gonna put it together, play it a little bit, feel how it feels, and then take it apart. So you might have noticed that I strung the two outside strings first. It's the first string and the sixth string. And I did those first so that I could see sort of where the strings are ending up and make sure that the neck is aligned properly. You want the string to be about the same distance away from the edge here as they are up here, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of problems here, so this is good, because otherwise I would have needed to add a shim to the neck and it would be like a whole thing that I don't know and wouldn't be a great thing for me to do on my first guitar. Maybe down the line I could do something like that, but I'm really happy that I don't have to do it with this guitar. All 6 strings are on. I'm gonna be using this 12 radius gauge here to make sure that the strings are all lined up, because right now they're kind of doing this. This string here can go this far up before it touches the gauge even. It's way down there. Most of those adjustments will be made right here on this area here, which is called the bridge. I've gone through and tuned all the strings. Now I have to check the intonation. And what that means is I'm gonna play a string, make sure it's in tune, then hit it right here on the 12th fret, which should make the same note. Different octave, same note. And if it doesn't, that means I need to adjust. This little bar either needs to go this way or this way. And then I retune it and try again. And I'm gonna do that a few different times just to try and get this as intonated as possible. And then the guitar will be ready to play and to try out, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's a beautiful guitar. I am shocked that I am playing a guitar that I built right now, that I painted and built and did all the electric wiring for. There's a weird little... The electronics are working good. There's a little bit of buzz. That's typical with these types of pickups. There's like a little bit of buzz inside the amp there. This first fret seems to be like maybe in the wrong place or something. It just doesn't sound good. I'm not sure what's going on up here, but when I play open chords, they sound a little out of tune. The strings are in tune. I'm worried that maybe the fret up at the top is messed up. Also, I think the nut up here needs to be filed down a little bit. It'll give it a little bit of a closer action to the guitar, and so it won't change the sound as much when you press down on there, because if I press light enough, sounds all right. But if I press any harder, it really takes it out of tune. So I don't know if that's a nut issue or what, but I'm gonna take some measurements on my other guitars because I like the way they're set up, and then try and mimic that with this guitar. But overall, I'm shocked that I made a guitar, that this guitar works. This is the first of many, I hope. I mean, it's a guitar. It's a custom guitar with a custom-made headstock. It's a finished guitar. I can't believe this. So cool. As you can see, it's in a little bit less of a complete condition than it was when we last saw it, but that I've got reasons. First off, the lacquer is still curing. You can kind of see that it's rough. I'm going to sand it down in a couple of days here and get it all nice and polished, and hopefully the paint job will hold up to that. Another thing I want to do is, this is the scratch plate. It goes right here, but as you can see, it covers up a lot of the design work that I did. So I found something really cool online. It's a plastic scratch plate that's totally clear, and it looks really cool, but it's the wrong size. You can see that some of the holes line up, but other ones, like this one here, don't line up at all. Doesn't quite fit over this plate right here. So it's in position here, no problem, but down here, it's overlapping. So that was kind of a bummer. When I put this on, I thought it looked really cool, but it wouldn't work. So I decided, well, I want this. This one's not gonna work. Why don't I make one myself? So I went out and got some plastic sheets, and I'm gonna try and cut these out with a router. A router is a tool that spins very, very fast. It's kind of like a drill, but it cuts into things. And I've used one once for stagecraft. I've never used one for intricate stuff like this. I've never used it for this material. So worst case scenario, I ruined the pickguard that actually works. Best case scenario is I get one of these that I made myself, so it feels even cooler, and we can see the design on the guitar better. So I think that might be worth possibly doing damage to this, I hope. It is a couple days later. That did not work. I needed a couple days to really mull over that and realize why that didn't work, and try and decide if I'm gonna keep going down this road or give up. And I am not a person that gives up. Let me show you what happened. This is the router bit. These are the blades that spin around and cut the plastic. And then this is a ball bearing which spins independently. It's supposed to ride along your template. What I'm using as my template is the actual scratch plate. Probably not the smartest thing to do, and here's why. The ball bearing got all filled with melted plastic, obviously, and as a result, it stopped spinning and started rubbing. And when it rubs, it gets hot. And when it gets hot, it melts. So we had things like this going on. So it actually melted into the scratch plate a little bit. Kind of disappointing. Couple things. One is I could not get the ball bearing to work again, so I bought a replacement for this, and they're not cheap. Two, I think what I need is more space in between the template and what I'm cutting. Right now they're right up against each other. So how am I gonna fix this? One is I'm going to try and put a spacer in between the template and the piece of plexi that I'm cutting. I think what that'll do is make it so the plastic isn't just diving into this little bearing here, hopefully. I'm just gonna keep going with it. I'm gonna keep trying and see if I can make it work. Another thing I'm gonna probably do is use this as my template instead of this. Yes, I am aware that this does not match up completely with what I've got going on this guitar, but I think I'll be able to modify it enough so that I can get it to work, hopefully. And then I also put spacers, you can see the spacers right there, which are actually just extra pieces of acrylic from the last time I did this. Hopefully that'll hold this far enough away from what I'm actually cutting so that we get a nice smooth glide on that ball bearing. All right, I've already messed up this piece of acrylic. So I tried to drill a hole through here with a drill just so that I could get my router in there because I'm gonna need a hole right in this center section here for the neck pickup. However, it just totally cracked the whole thing. There's a crack running all the way up into this section here. That's where I drilled, and you can see a crack already going through here, which is gonna mess up this whole section. And this was my backup piece of plexiglass, so I'm gonna need to go buy another piece of plexiglass to do this. I'm not sure how I'm gonna make this work. So I'm gonna do some experiments on this before I get the next piece of plexiglass so that I don't just mess up the next one too. Okay, I took a quick jaunt to the store and now I've got more opportunities to mess up, which is good because every time I mess up I learn something. So I'm gonna learn some more things here. Hopefully I'll learn quickly so that I have a finished product soon, but I got a bunch of pieces of plexi, so let's do it. I think it worked. Since this is the scratch plate, I do want the screws countersunk into it, which means that they don't stick out much at the top. They kind of go into the plastic a little bit. So I'm gonna be using this bit. I did a couple test drills on a scrap piece and I think it'll work. All right, let's see how she looks after all that. Ooh. Now let's see how it looks on the guitar. So it'll sit right there. And I'd say that is pretty cool. All that work for something that you're supposed to look through. You don't even see it, it's not there. But it's protecting the guitar from some aggressive picking, and it's really cool. There's a little spot right here where I nicked it a little bit. I'm not quite sure how that happened. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a little nick in it. I'm fine with it. That's okay. I can live with that. Now I need to test it. I have to drill the holes for the pickup and then test it, see if it all fits together correctly with screws in. So fingers crossed, here we go. That is awesome. That looks great. That was totally worth it.
worth the learning experience. I now know how to do that, so if I ever make another guitar where I need a clear pick guard, which probably will happen a lot because I want to do a lot of cool paint jobs, hopefully I won't have to go through like several different things of plexiglass to get to this point, but now I'm here, I've got it, and now I've got to go show my wife because I'm very proud of myself. It is a brand new day and I am going to work on the neck of the guitar today, really fine tune it. I've done a little bit of work on the fretboard, but today I'm gonna give it just that extra little bit of love that's gonna make it play just beautifully, hopefully, unless I screw it up, because, you know. So I have this little doohickey here, which I can put on the neck of the guitar to see if it is straight, and there's a little bit of rockage here. See that little gap? We're gonna fix that with a truss rod. Most guitars have a little hole either up here or at the other end of the neck, and if you put a little Allen key in there, you can adjust a rod that's going through the neck of the guitar and it'll bend the guitar neck one way or another. Now you'll notice I'm pushing at the other end of this rod now and there's no rock at all. So this is one straight neck. There are 2 frets on this guitar that are still a little high, so I'm gonna sand them down again and then repolish everything. I'm gonna do a really thorough job this time, and so I'm gonna be masking up the entire fretboard in order to get this done. Look at the shine on those frets. Yes. Look at the shine on my forehead. I'm very hot. It's very hot in here, and that was a lot of work. But those frets are shiny, they are smooth, they are rounded, they are flat, they are going to make beautiful music. I'm very pleased with this. I'm very excited. Time to take off the tape. All right, that is beautiful. Yes. To say that I'm nervous right now would be an understatement. The lacquer has been curing on this guitar for the past 2 weeks. It's been hardening, and it's now time to sand it down and buff it and see if doing that messes up the guitar. The ongoing theme of I might mess up this guitar today. Right now you can see that the guitar has like a strange texture to it. It's got a little shine, a little gloss to it, but it could be like mirror finish beautiful. And that's what I'm trying to do, and that's the whole reason I used that lacquer in the first place. So I've been going back and forth in my head like, should I do this, should I not? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna start on the back. If I mess it up, then we'll deal with it then. But if I don't mess it up, it could look like a professionally made guitar, which is really what I'm going for here. But it does require me to take the whole thing apart, so that's what I'm gonna do next. I made this out of a scrap piece of cardboard, and I'm gonna put all the screws where they were on the guitar into these different holes here, and that'll help me keep organized. I heard that it was important for the same screws to go into the same holes when they go back together. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm not gonna risk it. I'm just gonna use my little map that I've got here. Unfortunately, this also means I need to undo all of the soldering that I've done, so that's my next step. This is why I'm nervous. I got the guitar to a spot that I'm really happy with. Like, I really like the paint job I did on it. It really does look like a nice guitar, and this is just sort of like taking it to the next level. But I used a paint that is not traditional for this, and then I covered it with lacquer, which is traditional, but I'm not sure the paint I put in between the guitar and the lacquer is gonna hold up to a buff and shine. So I'm gonna start on the back, and if I mess up the back, I think I have a plan on how to deal with that, but this should give me a good gauge of what is possible for the front of the guitar. So hopefully this works. If it works, it'll be really, really cool. I mean, it'll look like a guitar that you would buy in the store. So the first step is to sand down the lacquer so that it's not bumpy on top. It's real smooth. Okay, so here's the thing. That did not work. It started taking off the paint right here at the base of the guitar. You can see the paint's kind of chipping away here. I am not going to mess with the paint job anymore. I'm calling it, and then maybe the next guitar I will take what I've learned here and apply it. So I'm not gonna pursue the shininess anymore, but I am gonna pursue making it sound the best that it possibly can and play really well. So I need to put it back together, get some new strings on it, and really fine tune this thing. I'm not disappointed. It's okay. It's all right that it didn't work. I'm glad that I saw it and I wasn't like aggressive with the sandpaper and like totally messed up the guitar completely and had to start all over again. We'll just call it relicking. Some handsome relicking on the back of the guitar. While I'm here, I'm just gonna give it a quick little polish. Even just that quick little polish, I think, made the colors pop a little bit more. So I'm glad I did that, and now I'm gonna put the whole guitar back together and keep moving forward. Thing here turned out to be very helpful and highly recommend if you are taking something apart that you're going to put back together again, take an old piece of cardboard, draw a terrible picture of it, punch holes in it, and put the screws where they belong, because this was super easy to put back together because I knew exactly where everything went. That's my hot tip for you about taking things apart and putting them back together. One problem I had with this guitar is when I was playing notes up at the top of the neck, when I was fretting up at the top, the notes sounded off to me, and I think that's because the nut is too high. This part right here is called the nut, and if it's too high, as I press this, it creates extra tension on the string. See how far it has to come down to get to the fret? I want the strings to lay lower to the guitar so that there's not that much bending happen when I press down. All right, here she is, all done. This guitar is a lot of fun to play now. I totally fixed this issue I was having before. Before, when I would play a note up here, it would sound all out of tune. That sounds like an E to me. Sounds like an A. All the strings are now way closer to the fretboard, and it's way easier to play. The fretboard feels really great. Like bending like this feels so much better than it did before. Before it was a little grindy, now it's just like really smooth. I hope Colleen likes it. I'm looking forward to going to New York, giving it to her in a few days, and seeing her in Waitress, because she's in Waitress. That's the whole reason for this guitar. So I'm excited to see what her response is gonna be to this. But I think it looks really cool, and yeah, I built a guitar. I am so excited. This is the day. This is the video where I go to New York to give Colleen the custom-built guitar that I made for her in celebration of her being in the Broadway musical Waitress. I made this custom-built guitar, and I'm gonna bring it to her today, and I'm so excited about it. I can't wait. It has been a long road getting to this point, from looking at old guitars and trying to choose different designs from that, to settling on a design which I mocked up in Photoshop and did a couple different versions of to see which I liked best, to unboxing, to working on the neck and the fretboard, to painting. I messed up a few times along the way, but in the end, I'm super happy with the guitar that I ended up making. Overall, things that I really like the paint job that I did. I like that the scratch plate is see-through and that I made it myself. That's pretty cool. And I love the way the headstock design came through. I think that this is like awesome. Things that I wish I had done better. I wish I had gotten the gloss to work on this. There's a little, you can barely see it at all, but there's like a little bit of router work that could have been better on the scratch plate. Overall, I think this is really like a really good guitar. For my first guitar, this is like, I'm very proud of it. couldn't take the guitar onto the plane, so they're gonna gate check it. And I just put it down. Feels weird. Feels weird leaving it over there. All right, we just got to our hotel room and Colleen has invited us over, so now we're gonna bring her the guitar. I'm actually really nervous about it. I don't know why. Like, I think she'll like it, but I don't know. I put a lot of work into it, so I'm like a little nervous about like giving it to her. I'm excited too, so let's go give it to Colleen. I'm at Colleen's apartment and I made you something. You didn't know that I made you something.
I'm nervous. Are you about to do a magic trick?
No. I made something for me.
Okay.
To say, because I'm really proud of you, and it's like congratulations for being on Broadway and being in a musical.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna get it.
Okay, I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm scared.
I really hope it's a magic.
Right, close your eyes, close your eyes, close
It's
your
like
eyes.
set up like a magic trick, I feel.
It's not a
Didn't
magic
it feel
trick.
like I made you something and you're like,
I thought he was gonna propose. He got down on his knee.
Turns into $1 million.
Here you go.
Am I opening my eyes?
All right.
Sure, open your eyes.
Am I?
Yeah, go for it. Open your eyes.
Oh my god, it's a piano. This is heavy.
It's gold.
Scared. Oh my god! What do you mean you made this?
It's the first guitar I've ever made.
You made this?
Yeah, well, it's a kit, like a really basic kit, and then I did the paint job and all the wiring, and
You
made
painted this?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, I painted it. I made it. Here.
I'm so confused.
So I painted it and I set it up the way that I would want it to play. So I know you don't play.
Let me see.
Bless you. I know you don't play, but
This is so
yeah, I carved
like
that.
a pie.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm gonna learn now. Eric's losing his mind.
Yeah.
I know a couple chords. I can't remember them now, but.
I brought the
Did you
amp
hear
that
my
you got me for
sentence that I
Christmas.
just said? A couple chords. I don't remember them.
Christopher brought an amp. We almost didn't get through security with it.
Yep.
This is so
But
cool.
it has,
Shut up.
it works. Like I did all the wiring. It's the first time I ever did the
I don't
wiring.
understand what you mean you made a guitar. Like, I don't understand what
He's
that
been
means.
talking about like wanting to get into
Did you know he
making.
did this?
Yeah, I knew he wanted to.
You didn't know I made this one.
Yeah, I didn't know about this, but
But this is my first one. I've been wanting to build a guitar for a really long time.
How
It's
did
the
you
first one.
waitressing celebration.
So that was the hardest part of the entire guitar. Because it came with one of those, but you couldn't see the paint job under it, so I built one.
It was like plexiglass or something?
Yeah, it's plexiglass.
This is crazy. I have to show this to the cast.
And I brought you a pick that I made.
This is satin. Oh my god.
It's from our first
the
time
satin.
going to Canada together. So
The
that's the
hotel
key
key?
card. Yeah, that's the key card
Oh
from
my god.
the first time we went to Canada
Oh my God,
to make
that's so romantic.
Haters Back Off.
Should propose.
We had different rooms.
This is so cool. Thank you.
I'm so glad you like it. I was like really nervous to give it to you.
This is so crazy. I cannot believe this. My first guitar. That's so cool. Oh, I love it. That's crazy. Are you dying to try it out, love?
All right, we're at Colleen's house now, and I was gonna teach her a really simple song.
How pretty this guitar is. There's a party happening over in this business. So if you hear other people talking and laughing, that's why.
I thought I'd teach you a simple Elvis song.
Okay.
Do you know Blue Suede Shoes, like how it kind of goes?
Sort of.
It goes like, here, I'll play it like real
It's like,
quick.
romance, in the blue suede shoes.
It goes like, well, it's all for the money, all for the show. Get ready now. Okay, so it's just 3 chords. It's A,
which is I do this, but you're basically trying to get these 3 strings down on that 2nd fret. And you can also do it kind of sloppy. There you go. And don't hit this top string.
Oh.
There you go. And now you're gonna do a D7.
There's these 3? Is that what you said? Wait, hold on, I'm just making sure I remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can even just do this and kind of mute this last string. Right. It's rock and roll. You're gonna make this shape here, which is, it's kind of a common ukulele. And that one you don't hit these top 2 strings. And then you go back to A.
Which is this one?
Yeah. There you go. And that's just the bottom 4 string. And then back to A. Yeah. You got it. There you go. And now you're gonna do it, it's called an E7. And it's here and here. And you can play all the strings on that one.
This one?
And that one and that one. And then you go back to A.
I gotta do it this way, I think. Okay.
Okay.
So let me try to remember. These are a bit hard.
Don't you?
Okay, gotta be patient.
There you go. Got that chord change.
Back to
the A. Now you're doing the E7. Ooh, good memory.
Do I have to use the pick?
No, you can use your hand. Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Now what are the words?
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, now go cat go. And here's a fun thing you can do if you're feeling super fancy, like as you play, you can mute the strings with your and make that.
Yeah, how do you do that?
So this is, I'm just not pushing, I'm muting them, and the pick's kind of good for that. And then you can kind of get a rhythm, and then you throw the chord in when you're ready for it. Well, it's a 1 for the money, 2 for the shoe, 3 to get ready now. It's just like a fun way to start.
So you are doing the 3 with your little thingy.
Yeah, for that especially.
It's hard for me to know that how to get only those 3.
So I don't even worry about this last one when I'm doing that part of it because it goes so fast.
How do you make it? I don't know how you made it so it just doesn't.
There, you're done.
No, it's making a sound.
Yeah, this is now. You played your first song on an electric guitar.
Not well, but I did it.
You did it.
Not well, but I did it.
No, you
now I'm
did
like
it.
determined to get it right. Yeah, I'm a guitar player.
You are. You can just add that skill to your long list of skills.
Now I'm gonna be like obsessed with practicing it. I love this guitar so much. You guys, how cool is this? I love it. Oh, I love this guitar. Can you guys believe he made this? Like, you literally made this. That's
like
crazy pants.
he has to push like the top one of these up.
Yeah. You had to push the top thingy up.
They know all about it.
They know all the science of a guitar. This is amazing. I know how to play guitar now, so watch out.
Subscribe to Colleen so you can watch her
So you
play
can watch me
guitar.
play guitar every day.
Every day.
When I get back from tour.
When she gets back from tour. 'Cause
Amazing.
she's fancy and on tour.